Welcome to Biz Alchemy, a podcast about creating a new business paradigm by women, for women. I'm your alchemical host, Jacquelyn, and I'm going to take you on an extraordinary adventure to create a business filled with ease, fun, spaciousness, and abundance. Hustle, be gone. Let's birth a new way. Welcome back to episode number 75. Woohoo! We've got the 3/4 of a century going, which is very exciting. Today, to honour the occasion, I am going to have a chat with you about 3 ways that you energetically block income. Now, the idea of speaking about this came from my lives that I did on Insight Timer last week, which were about the base chakra. And I always choose a focus, and I decided I was going to choose the money aspect. Often when I'm talking about the base chakra in business, I look at many other aspects of it and don't always address money. And yet money is an important aspect of the base chakra of a biz. And if you want to know more about that, listen to episode 21, 5 common blocks in the base chakra of your biz. Anyway, last week I decided we would address the money aspect. And it was amazing because in both calls that I did, both lives I did on the Tuesday, the chat was going off. I tell you what else is going off right now. We're in torrential rain, so you may hear the pitter-patter in the background. Anyway, back to where I was. The conversation about income and how much money was coming into the business brought up lots of ahas, perhaps, on one side for people, but also lots of challenges that they have around receiving income in their business. And reading the chat and responding to what people were saying, one thing that I realized, and this is going to be the first block that I talk about, is that many of us are out of alignment with our pricing. There is an energetic alignment that exists between you and what you are charging for your services or products. I don't believe that there is a right or a wrong answer or approach to how you price something. It's a number. It is a number. And it's about your alignment to that number as to whether people buy at that number. Because if they sense that your energy is not in alignment with what you are charging, either because it's more than you currently feel comfortable with energetically, or you're resentful that you are not receiving what you would like to receive for what you're charging because you've put the price too low. That's what people sense. So it doesn't matter if it's $11 or $111 or $1,111. It's actually about the alignment of that number with you. And I've observed myself in this journey. And it's been a big journey for me, and it always is when you start in business especially, and you have to put a numerical value on what you're providing. I mean, I actually remember going through a similar thing. I mean, it was different because it wasn't a business as such. But when I first graduated as a physiotherapist, I worked in the hospital system. So I was on a wage and, you earned this much money. And I still remember the first job I went into as a locum in London in private practice. And the thought that, one, people were paying me directly. So suddenly I felt more responsible for them because I felt like I had to prove myself more because it was this immediate exchange. And then secondly, coming up with what I wanted to charge per hour or per client, patient, however it was done then, for the person I was doing the locum for, to tell them what I wanted. And that, I remember at the time, that was such a huge, huge challenge for me. And that was really quite simple compared to going into business and having various products or offerings with different price points and wondering, what on earth do I charge for this? Now, coming from that service-based career, if you like, in physiotherapy, it was hard when I moved into business even though, I mean, there'd been quite a long time between being a physiotherapist and going into business and many careers, but it was a similar transition. Maybe because it was service-based, I was offering my gifts as a healer. So I did experience a lot of challenge about my pricing. And the way that I found that worked for me was I did start with lower prices, but I was so grateful to have my skin in the game, if you like. I was okay with that. And I was building trust, and I was building confidence in myself and trust in myself and my business. But what I did, on the really wise advice of my coach at the time, was just incrementally increase that price. So every 3 months, I would put it up a little bit more. Yep, that feels in alignment. It was a little stretch to start with, but I got comfortable with it fairly quickly. And so for me, that worked, just doing that gradual increase. And I haven't changed my prices, my one-to-one prices now for 18 months, but I am really in alignment with them still. I check in now and again and go, how do I feel about this? I certainly don't feel any desire whatsoever to increase them at this point. I still feel true alignment. I feel very comfortable saying my prices. I do not feel that resentment I talked about before, like, oh, I think it's worth a bit more now. I don't feel any of that. I feel congruent. And this is what worked for me. It's always a little stretch. It's always a stretch when you change prices. And it's an energetic stretch, but it becomes comfortable fairly quickly. However, I have to say, I am not congruent with charging stupid dollars for a session. Like, that's stupid dollars to me. A friend recently was telling me about a coach that she had worked with, and this coach is now charging $20,000 for, I can't remember the length of the program, a few months. I did not feel congruent with that on so many levels. It's not about my worth. It's about my values. And you would have heard me say that the little mantra I'm using at the moment as a part of my work in receiving is I receive everything I require to support my soul's mission. And for me right now, I don't have a sense that I need massive amounts of money to support that. It's just where I'm at in my life. I live a very simple life, and it just doesn't feel congruent with me. So if I suddenly offered instead of offering my 6-session VIP package for $999, which is what it currently is, if I offered it suddenly at $20,000, that would be so incongruent for me. And I have seen this happen to many people starting out in business, working with a coach who says you have to charge this. You've got to charge these huge amounts. And the person is so out of alignment energetically with that. There is no way. Their whole energy contracts and draws in. There's no way they can hold the space for that price. And I have to also say, I'm talking here about my values. I do not hold going into debt as part of my values. And if I knew that someone was putting that $20,000 on credit card to work with me, I couldn't do it. That is not a part of my values. And even as I talk about that, I feel the stress of that, and I then feel that stress. So it's not congruent with me. I'm not making it wrong. Please don't think that. For some people, that is an alignment. But with my life and my values, it's not in alignment. So I will never do that. Now, another way that you can identify that your prices are not in alignment with you is that you are always offering discounts. Like it's almost like you never offer the full price because you are constantly offering discounts on that price. So that price isn't in alignment with you right now. So it might be saying, okay, maybe you need to just drop your prices down a little bit. Or it may be saying, okay, time to look at your energy body, look at your solar plexus. So much of, certainly with my one-to-one clients, when I'm looking around income, yes, it's base chakra of the business. That's where the money is flowing in, but it's often the client's solar plexus and their sense of self-esteem, their self-love, their trust, their self-worth. that's what can also sabotage that, because of so many stories that they hold about their value, their inherent value to themselves. So life stories about not being good enough, being put down at school, all the sorts of things that can happen that can contribute to those stories. Of course, they can also cause your energy body to be out of alignment. And so it's important to address that side. That is all a part of being in alignment with your pricing. And as you keep doing the internal work, you will find that you are clearer and clearer on what that alignment with your pricing is. So being out of alignment with your pricing will energetically block income. Now, the second thing I want to talk about, and this is actually my pet hate, I will say. Strong word, I know, but it does trigger me. And yes, I know I need to go internally to explore this a bit more, but I'm being open and honest with you, and that is hiding your prices. Now, there are a couple of things that might cause you to hide your prices. Either, as I've just talked about, you aren't in alignment with your price. And so you sort of leave it right to the end, and then you make it really hard for the person to find, just hoping that they won't even be thinking about what you're charging. So you don't need to be upfront about it. You don't need to speak it and embody it. So that can be a reason that you do hide your prices. And the second thing is it's a sales tactic. But for me personally, I find it such a manipulative sales tactic, where you are so busy selling your offer or your product, whatever it is, and you devote a page to it, and then the person clicks here and they go through and they learn more about it, and you're going, yeah, but where the fuck's the price? And you're going down, 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 and then finally hidden right at the bottom where you're about to buy, there's the price. I hate that. Can you tell? I feel like I am being coerced. I feel like I am being manipulated because I know it's a tactic and I don't like it. And so it doesn't matter how good the offer is, how much it entices me in. If I have to go searching for the price, 95% of the time, that person's already lost me. And it's not to do with the price and not having the money or any of those things. And of course, that's still important. It's the fact that I feel like the person has not been authentic with me. It doesn't always happen that way. Sometimes I will still buy, but I will buy with a little bit of a negative energy there. One point I've just realized that I may not have made clear, and I'd like to clarify it, is I am not saying that the price has to be right at the top of a page or an offer, but where I feel frustration is when I read all the information and get to the bottom of the page and then have to click through to find out more. And then in that more section, I have to read through a whole lot, and it may have the price right at the bottom after lots of scrolling, or I might have to click another button that takes me to the checkout, which is where I actually discover what the price is. So that's what I mean, where you've really got to jump through some hoops. It's not just the matter of scrolling down one page and finding it, but you've got to jump through hoops to get to what actually is being charged for the offer. Now, if you have a fear that if you put your price at the beginning, people aren't going to read through and find out if that's the right thing for them, well then you have to either go back to step one about being aligned with your price, but you also then have to go, well, perhaps that person is not aligned with me. If that's all they're looking for, can I afford it? Can't I afford it? And they don't want to know more about it, maybe they're not your ideal client. If they're your ideal client, they'll be reading your energy through your heading, through the price you show. They'll be reading your energy and they'll be feeling like, they'll be vibing with your energy, and then they will go to continue on reading. Now, they might then go, actually, that's not a price I can pay right now, but I love this person. I love their authenticity. I really do feel in alignment with them. I'll join their mail list, and maybe next time they offer this, I'll do it. That's truth. That's authenticity. That is the new paradigm of business, not these sales tactics that are coercive and manipulative. That is an old paradigm. Now, I just want to say here, this is my opinion, obviously. This may be something you use and you might find it helpful to you, but maybe you've never looked at it from this perspective. I just want to plant the seed so that you can look at why you are doing this. And is it in alignment with you truly? Or is there another reason? Why are you doing it? Because a coach told you to do it? Because you're not confident in your pricing? Why are you doing it? And if you think, no, I'm good with it, I'm clear, I'm aligned, perfect. Because that's all I'm asking in a way, is to be aligned with it, however that looks for you. The third way that you energetically block income, and this is the most common that I see. I mean, they're all tied in together, but you block receiving. It's as simple as that. And I was talking about the solar plexus before. The solar plexus, so often there are stories in the solar plexus about not being worthy to receive. This links with the heart chakra. It links with the base chakra. In fact, it links with all the energy body, but it really comes strongly, it sort of emanates from the solar plexus because the solar plexus is about worth. But the worthiness to receive is actually just one aspect of receiving. There are so many aspects to receiving that we are completely unaware of, but they are highlighted when it comes to being in business. And I reckon just about every one-to-one session that I do reveals blocks to receiving. And what I mean by that is stories, beliefs being held in the energy body that block up the channels to receiving more. Now, often this is about receiving income because, especially in relation to business, but receiving money is simply one of the millions of ways that we receive. And yet when we go into business and we want to receive income, we have to receive income to make it a business, it highlights for us how many channels we do have blocked to receiving because we have made money, the money channel, the most important channel in our society for receiving. And so when we see that there are energetic blocks in that channel, we can often go into, oh my gosh, I've got stories about money. I've got to clear these stories so that I can bring more money into my business. And we start to do maybe some work around that. There's plenty of support systems around receiving money. But what it's actually showing you is that it is not just about receiving money. That is not the only thing you are blocking. Money is actually an energy. And it's highlighting for you that you are blocking many channels of receiving energy. Money is no more important than any of the other things. Our society has made it more important, but it's no more important. It's all energy. So what I have discovered in my work with receiving is that if you open up the other channels, if you open yourself and your business to receiving in other ways, that opens the money channel as well. So instead of beating yourself up going, I've still got that money story, I've been tapping, I've been whatever you've been doing, using your mantras or your affirmations or doing your journaling, and I'm doing all these things, but these blocks are still coming up. And often what you focus on grows. So sometimes it's like those blocks can just get bigger and bigger because you're so focused on money and blocking money, not receiving money. But if you start to play around with receiving through other channels that you feel less emotional about, there's less charge to them, in opening up those other channels, you will actually also open the money channel because it's all energy, they're all the same. So energetic blocks to receiving, being a cause of an income block in your biz, can be shifted not through the focusing on the receiving more money, but through the focusing of receiving. And every single client that I have worked with has a block in some form to receiving. I have major blocks to receiving. This is such a big part of what I'm doing now in my own personal work, is to open myself to receiving in an infinite number of ways. And this is why I created the receiving channel on Patreon. Yes, all my clients are in business and all of them want to receive something more. So I wanted to create a place outside of business that wasn't just about business, that wasn't just about income, where we could open all our receiving channels. It's only been going 3 weeks that I've had my Patreon channel open, and already the patrons of the channel are experiencing changes. So I'm going to share with you a testimonial from Magali, and Magali writes, "Joining the receiving channel on Patreon is the best decision I made this year for myself and for my business. After following Jacquelyn on Insight Timer, being part of her tribe through the receiving channel was so easy, accessible, and making sense to me. After a month in it, not only have I received creativity, ideas, support, money, but I've also learnt to let go of my perceived limitations and allow myself to ask. As an extra, I'm even seeing the gift of receiving in what would have been a real hassle in the past." The receiving channel is about you receiving more of life. We have been creating magic there. So if you feel that one of the ways that you are energetically blocking income is that you are blocking receiving, come and join me. You can join the meditators tier that Magali's in, which is 14 Aussie dollars a month. Or you can join the activators tier, where you receive the live meditations, but you also receive a personal activation from me every month. I send you the audio of a personal energetic activation where I'm reading your energy body and giving you an activation to open you up to more receiving through a particular channel that month. And to join the activators is 44 Aussie dollars a month. So if you'd love to know more about how you can be part of the receiving channel, go to patreon.com/Jacquelyn Atkins. I'll pop the link in the show notes. It is an alchemical container, and I am so excited by what's actually coming through me, because by creating this container, I'm opening myself to receive more wisdom about how I can support you to receive more. So I'm on a journey with you and basically bringing you on this journey of these very new energies that are birthing through us on the earth plane and opening us to receive more of the abundance of our earth. Until next time, have an alchemical week in your biz. Thanks for listening to Biz Alchemy. I'm Jacquelyn Atkins. If you'd love to know more about the energy of business, join my newsletter list at jacquelynatkins.com and check out my receiving channel on Patreon at patreon.com/Jacquelyn Atkins. Until next time, enjoy creating alchemy in your biz.